The moment I stepped into the hospital, I had no idea my life was about to change forever. A nurse stopped me at the entrance, her eyes darting nervously. You can't go in yet. Just hide and wait," she whispered. My hands froze on the railing. My heart raced. My son, my only boy, was in that room, and the world felt suddenly too heavy to bear. In life, the deepest pain rarely comes from strangers. It comes from the ones who once needed your heartbeat to survive. And age doesn't weaken a mother's love, but it certainly exposes who truly values it. I braced myself. I didn't know if I could handle what I was about to see, and yet I had no choice. I had to face it. And this is She Echoed, a place where the quiet truths we carry finally find their voice. If it touches something in you, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your truth deserves to be echoed. It started with the phone call. I was in the middle of preparing breakfast, the smell of toast and coffee filling my kitchen, when the line rang. The hospital's voice was trembling, urgent. "Ma'am, it's your son. He's had an accident. You need to come immediately." I felt the floor tilt beneath me. My hands gripped the counter so tightly I thought I'd leave fingerprints in the wood. An accident? My son? Panic clawed at my chest, squeezing until I could barely breathe. The drive to the hospital was a blur. Every red light felt like it was holding me hostage, every passing car a countdown to something I wasn't ready to face. I tried to call my husband, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Alone, I gripped the steering wheel, repeating prayers I didn't even know I knew. When I arrived, the nurses and doctors were moving with that controlled chaos that makes hospitals feel both alive and terrifying. I approached the desk, voice trembling. "My son, he's in room 307? A young nurse looked at me, eyes wide. "Ma'am, you need to wait outside. Hide. Just wait. We'll call you when it's ready." "Hide? Wait, what do you mean?" I asked, a chill crawling up my spine. She shook her head. It's complicated. Please, just trust me." I wanted to argue, to demand to see him immediately, but something in her eyes, the kind of fear I had never seen in a stranger, told me this was serious. This was more than an injury. This was life-shattering. I stepped outside, my hands trembling, body frozen in place. I hugged myself as the cold wind bit through my sweater. My mind raced through every possible scenario. Was he conscious? Could he hear me calling his name? Was he gone? Every second stretched into an eternity. Every passing nurse made my stomach lurch. My heart hammered as if it could escape my chest, and I had no control. I thought back to the morning, how we'd laughed over pancakes, how he teased me about burning the toast. That memory felt cruelly distant now, a reminder of everything that could be lost in a heartbeat. And then I saw it. The gurney, a covered shape being wheeled towards the exit. My breath caught in my throat. My son? My baby? My boy? The nurse motioned me to step back, her hand shaking. "Ma'am, please." But I couldn't. My feet felt glued to the ground. I watched as the sheet was lifted, and my world broke. I won't forget the sight. The blood, the bruises, the tubes and wires that clung to his small frame like a cage. He was alive, but barely. And he looked fragile in a way that made my chest ache, as if every heartbeat of mine could shatter him further. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hold him and never let go, but all I could do was stand there, frozen, a mother powerless to protect her own child from the cruelty of life. I sank to a bench outside, hands covering my face. I could hear the faint beeping of machines, the shuffle of nurses, and the hushed conversations that seemed to carry worlds of despair. I had to gather myself. I had to be strong. But the truth hit me harder than any news could. Life doesn't prepare you for the fragility of your child. And that's when I realized my fight wasn't over yet, not by a long shot. The minutes outside the emergency room stretched like hours. Every distant beep, every hurried step in the corridor sent shivers through me. I felt trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake from. The nurse had told me to wait, to hide. And though I obeyed, a part of me screamed to push forward, to demand to see him, to feel his presence. But I had learned long ago that sometimes patience was the only weapon a mother has when the world feels uncontrollable. I sat, head in my hands as memories of my son flooded in. The first time he rode a bike without training wheels, the way his laughter could fill an empty room, the late-night conversations where he confessed dreams too big for his age. He was vibrant, full of life, and now, lying somewhere inside, he looked fragile. What if this wasn't just an accident? What if there was more behind the closed doors than I realized? The nurse returned, her expression tight. "Ma'am, you need to come with me. Quick, but quietly. No one else should see this yet." I followed, heart hammering. The corridor felt colder than the outside air, sterile and cruel, echoing every anxious thought in my mind. When we reached a private room, the nurse paused. You need to know. There was more to the accident than you were told. Some complications. We didn't want you panicking before we were ready." My hands clenched into fists. Complications? Panic had already rooted itself inside me like a vine choking a tree. But I forced myself to breathe, to focus. Inside, the room was dim, shadows pooling around the edges. Machines hummed softly. And there he was, my son, his small frame barely rising and falling with each shallow breath. A mask covered part of his face, tubes and monitors tracking every vital sign. I felt a sob clawing its way up my throat, but I swallowed it. I needed clarity, not hysteria. I realized then that I was seeing only a fraction of the truth. Something was hidden, something the hospital staff hadn't yet told me, and the weight of it pressed down on me. The nurse gently placed a hand on my shoulder. She said, "There's more. We found something unusual when he was brought in. Medical tests, records. We need your permission for them to proceed before we can fully treat him." Permission. The word felt like a knife. I had always believed I would be able to protect him, shield him from everything. But now even authority in hospitals bowed to bureaucracy. And worse, secrecy. I stepped closer to his bed. His eyes fluttered open, and for a fleeting second, the world narrowed to that fragile glance, that tiny recognition. He tried to smile, weak and trembling, and my chest ached. "Mom?" he whispered. My voice caught in my throat. "Shh, I'm here. I'm right here." And just like that, the truth started unfolding. The nurse handed me a folder, his school medical records, insurance papers, something I had never seen. My son had been hiding something from me for months, something that might have contributed to this accident, or at least explained why the hospital staff were so cautious. My mind raced. What was he hiding? And why now, in this fragile moment, did the truth decide to reveal itself? I sat beside him, gently brushing hair from his forehead, trying to mask the whirlwind of thoughts inside. I whispered, "You have to tell me everything. I can't help you if I don't know." His weak hand found mine. I didn't want you to worry. I thought I could handle it on my own." My heart broke anew. Every mother's instinct screamed at me, protect, nurture, fight. But here, I was powerless, forced to trust the hospital and my son's courage to face the consequences of silence. I flipped through the records. My son had been struggling with a medical condition he had hidden, fearing my concern would limit him. And now, that concealment had nearly cost him his life. The guilt, the fear, the desperation, it all poured over me in one crushing wave. I leaned closer. "We're going to get through this, but you can't hide from me anymore. Not from your mother, not when your life is on the line." He nodded weakly, tears brimming in his eyes. I'm sorry." And just like that, the delicate balance of fear and hope shifted. I realized that life could break us, but it could also reveal the depth of resilience we never knew we had. The hospital wasn't just a place of healing, it was a crucible, a test of courage, love, and transparency. I knew the path ahead would be difficult. Long nights, recovery, questions, and reckonings. But I also knew one unshakable truth. We would face it together, and nothing would stay hidden from me again. I held his hand, feeling the rise and fall of his fragile breaths, and whispered a promise. "We will survive this, together. And when we do, we'll come out stronger than before." The nurse gave a small, respectful nod. He's lucky to have you," she said quietly, almost as if speaking it out loud could anchor the fragile hope in the room. And in that moment, I realized that love isn't just about celebrating life. It's about standing in the storm, facing truth, and never letting go no matter how broken the world seems. The room was silent, except for the steady hum of machines. Each beep echoed like a countdown, reminding me that time was fragile, slipping through our fingers with cruel precision. I stayed close to my son, watching his chest rise and fall, feeling both helpless and desperate. The folder of hidden records rested beside me, a stark reminder that his silence had nearly cost him everything. What else had he kept from me? And could I trust that the hospital was doing everything to save him? A doctor appeared, brisk but with a hint of concern beneath the professional exterior. "Ma'am," she said, glancing at the monitors, "we need to discuss some complications. His vitals are unstable. We need consent for a few urgent procedures. There's also something in his records that wasn't disclosed earlier." I swallowed hard, nodding. "Tell me. I need to know everything." The doctor hesitated, then sighed. "He's been hiding a chronic condition, something that could have been managed, but now it's reached a critical point. There were warning signs you weren't aware of." I felt a rush of both anger and sorrow. How could he bear this alone? How could he let the situation get this far without telling me? Yet the fear in his eyes reminded me that he had needed protection, and I was here now. I was his anchor. Every second felt amplified. Every beep of the machine echoed like a ticking clock. Life and death were balanced on a knife's edge. I knelt beside him, brushing his hair back gently. "You don't have to carry this alone anymore," I whispered. "I'm here. I won't leave you. Whatever it takes, we'll face it together." His hand trembled as he reached for mine. He said, "I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want you to worry.
I thought I could handle it myself. You can't do everything alone, I said softly, tears welling. Hiding it nearly broke you, and it almost broke me watching you fight in silence. We are a team, and from now on, there's no more secrets. Not between us. The nurse returned, guiding me gently to sign consent forms. Each signature felt heavier than the last, a promise to fight, to protect, to take responsibility, not just as a mother, but as his advocate in a system that often treated patients like numbers. With every stroke of the pen, I felt both empowered and terrified. The procedures could save him, or they could reveal more complications. As the doctors and nurses moved with quiet urgency, preparing him for the interventions, I sat close, holding his hand. I whispered memories of his childhood, the way he had conquered every challenge before, the small victories that had seemed insignificant then, but had built his courage. I murmured, "You are stronger than you think, and tonight, your strength isn't just about surviving. It's about trusting those who love you and letting us be there for you." He gave a faint, almost imperceptible nod. He said, "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have told you sooner." "Shh," I said, pressing my forehead gently against his. "There's nothing to be sorry for. You are my son. We face everything together. Now breathe. Focus on now. The rest will come later." I realized in that moment that life isn't just measured by milestones or achievements. It's measured by moments like this, raw, unfiltered, fragile, yet filled with unwavering love. The procedure began, and I was allowed to stay by his side, a silent witness to every move. Machines beeped, lights glinted off stainless steel, and the hospital room transformed into a battlefield where every heartbeat was both a victory and a risk. As minutes stretched into an hour, a quiet realization settled in. My son's resilience wasn't just physical, it was emotional, forged by fear, secrecy, and survival. And my role wasn't just to comfort him, it was to ensure that truth, honesty, and love had a place in his recovery. Hours later, the procedure ended. The doctors stepped back, their expressions calm but cautious. One said, "He's stable. It was touch and go, but he's strong. With proper care, he should recover fully. What matters now is follow-up, honesty, and commitment to treatment." I exhaled fully, feeling the tension drain from my body like water leaving a storm. My son's eyes opened again, brighter now, more aware. He smiled weakly. He said, "You stayed." I replied, "Of course. I promised, remember?" Resolution beat. In that moment, I realized that courage isn't just about facing life's battles. It's about showing up, staying present, and refusing to let silence and secrets define the ones we love. The hospital room had quieted, the chaos of the earlier emergency now replaced with a tense stillness. Machines beeped rhythmically, my son's chest rose and fell steadily, and I thought for a brief moment that we had survived the worst. But instinct told me there was more, something hidden, something that had caused this near tragedy in the first place. Why hadn't he told me the full story? What danger was still lurking, unseen? I quietly asked the nurse for his medical chart, trying to mask the urgency in my voice. "I just want to understand everything," I said softly, careful not to alarm him. The nurse hesitated, glancing at him and then back at me. "You should wait. Some of this is sensitive, but I'll bring you the details you need." As I flipped through the papers, my heart sank. Medications that had been prescribed months ago were missing. Test results had never been logged. And there, scrawled in small handwriting, was a note I hadn't seen before. Patient admitted risk of severe reaction. Monitor closely. I felt my stomach twist. This wasn't just an accident. It wasn't just bad timing. Someone had neglected, or worse, hidden the truth. My mind raced. How could anyone let this happen? And why was I only finding out now? I looked at my son, asleep but still fragile, and felt a wave of anger rise alongside fear. Who knew about this? I whispered to the nurse. She avoided my gaze for a moment, then said quietly, "A few staff members did, but it wasn't reported properly. And the doctor on duty last week didn't follow protocol. That's how it got so critical." My pulse quickened. This wasn't just a medical oversight. It was neglect, and it could have cost my son his life. I pulled out my phone and began documenting everything. Each note, each observation, each detail. Nothing could be left to chance. This wasn't just about anger. It was about protection, about ensuring no one else would ever face this. Every detail felt heavier than the last. I realized just how close we had come to losing him. When my son stirred, blinking sleepily at the bright hospital lights, I leaned close. "Hey," I whispered, "do you remember the accident? How you felt afterward?" He nodded faintly, swallowing hard. "Yeah, it was bad. Mom, I didn't mean to hide it. I thought I could manage." "You didn't just manage," I said gently but firmly. "You survived because you're strong, but also because I was here, because I refused to let silence and secrecy decide your fate. But we need the truth now, all of it." He hesitated, then sighed. "It wasn't just the fall. There was something else, something I didn't want to tell you because I thought it would hurt you." I held his hand tighter. "Nothing can hurt me more than you being in danger. Tell me everything." He swallowed, his voice trembling. I was taking a supplement for energy. I thought it was safe, but it interacted with my medication. I felt dizzy. I tried to hide it. I thought I could make it through the day." My chest tightened. Relief mingled with frustration. "So you almost lost your life because you didn't ask for help?" I asked softly, holding back tears. "Yes," he admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't want you to worry. I thought I was protecting you." Reflective beat. I realized then that love isn't always about shielding others. Sometimes it's about honesty, even when it's hard, even when it scares both of you. I squeezed his hand. We protect each other by being honest, by letting each other in. You don't have to carry this alone. Never again. The nurse returned, a serious look on her face. "I've alerted the head physician. We're reviewing his medications and supplements now. No more risks. Everything will be monitored properly." I exhaled slowly, feeling a fragile sense of control return. This revelation, as terrifying as it was, had given me the chance to act, to intervene, to ensure my son's safety moving forward. Hours passed filled with monitoring, explanations, and quiet conversations. I stayed by his side, whispering reminders, small reassurances, stories of his childhood to keep him grounded. Each smile, each blink of recognition reminded me of why I fought so fiercely. Every moment mattered. Every heartbeat was a reminder that vigilance and love could overcome fear and uncertainty. By late evening, the head doctor arrived. "She's stable now," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We've adjusted his medications, monitored the interactions, and ensured there won't be a repeat. You did the right thing, staying by his side. You caught what could have been catastrophic." I nodded, relief flooding through me. "Thank you. I just couldn't leave him alone." "No one should have been left in the dark," the doctor said softly, "but your presence made all the difference." As the lights dimmed and the night grew quiet, I realized the full weight of the day. My son's near death wasn't just a wake-up call for him. It was a lesson for me, for him, for anyone who believes they can face life's dangers alone. I held his hand as he drifted off to sleep again, thinking about the lessons of the day. Secrets, lies, and omissions had brought us to the brink, but honesty, vigilance, and love had pulled us back. I realized that the battles we survive are often invisible to the world, yet the courage to face them defines the people we become. And in that quiet hospital room, I made a vow: no more hiding, no more waiting, no more pretending that danger couldn't touch us. From now on, we would face everything together, side by side, eyes open, hearts unafraid.
The hospital room was dim now, lit only by the soft glow of the monitors beside my son's bed. His steady breathing was the only sound, punctuated by the occasional distant murmur from the nurse's station. I thought we were finally safe, but a nagging feeling tugged at me, the unease I had felt all day, that instinctual whisper that something wasn't right. Why did my gut tell me there was more lurking beneath the surface? I glanced at his phone, which had been left on the bedside table. Something made me reach for it, though I wasn't sure if I wanted to see the truth. The notifications were minimal: texts, missed calls, reminders. But one message stood out, and my heart froze. It was from a number I didn't recognize. "Did you take it? Don't let anyone find out." I stared at the screen, my pulse quickening. What was he hiding? What danger had I not yet seen? I gently shook him awake. "Sweetheart, did someone contact you? Did something happen?" His eyes fluttered open, and I saw fear. Not the fear of pain, but of being caught. He hesitated, swallowing hard. "Mom, I didn't want to tell you." I gripped his hand, soft but firm. "I need to know everything. No more hiding. No more secrets." He exhaled slowly, a weight lifted and replaced by terror. It's not just the supplements. There's more. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I messed up. Mom, I didn't mean to put myself in danger, and I didn't mean to hide it from you. I thought I was protecting you." My chest tightened. The truth had been waiting, and now it was breaking free. I leaned closer, voice steady. "What did you do? Tell me everything." He looked down, shame coloring his features. I borrowed money from someone I shouldn't have. They were supposed to help me pay for the treatment, but I couldn't keep up. They warned me, said if I didn't pay, it would get worse. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. I thought I could handle it. My breath caught. A surge of fear and anger collided with relief. He was alive, but the danger had come from betrayal, not just illness. Someone had used him, taken advantage of his weakness while he fought for his life. I sat back, letting the weight of the revelation sink in. The hospital had given me a second chance, but this secret, this betrayal, had nearly destroyed him. And I realized
heartbreakingly, that the people who should have protected him had been absent. The person I trusted, or thought I could trust, had failed my child. I clenched his hand. "Who is it? Who put you in danger?" He hesitated, then whispered a name that made my stomach drop. The words felt like ice in my veins. Someone close to our family, someone I had trusted implicitly. My son's eyes brimmed with tears. "I couldn't tell you before. I was scared. They said they'd hurt me if I did." I felt a mixture of fury and protectiveness rise in me, so fierce it burned through my chest. The walls of the hospital felt suddenly confining, too small for the storm raging inside me. "No one threatens you without consequences," I said, my voice low but steady. "No one. Not now, not ever." I realized the fight wasn't just about medicine or treatment or survival. It was about trust, betrayal, and the lengths someone will go to protect those they love. I stood, pacing the room. Every thought raced. This wasn't just about my son's health anymore. It was about justice, protection, and ensuring this danger could never touch him again. I felt the full weight of a mother's responsibility settle on my shoulders. "I'm going to fix this," I said firmly. "I'll make sure they can never threaten you again. You're not alone in this. Not ever." We spent the next hour planning quietly. I called the hospital's security and discussed the situation with the head nurse and attending physician. Every step, every precaution was deliberate. No risk would be left unaddressed. Even in this calm, the danger lingered. One misstep could undo everything we survived. When he finally rested again, I stayed by his side, watching him sleep, tears threatening to spill. But these weren't just tears of fear, they were tears of relief, of empowerment, and of a mother's unwavering determination to protect her child. I realized then that the battles we fight for those we love are rarely seen by the world. They are silent, relentless, and often terrifying, but they define us. They show the depth of our love, the strength of our courage, and the lengths we will go to keep our family safe. By the end of the night, I felt a strange calm. The immediate threat was identified, steps were in place to prevent recurrence, and my son was safe, truly, undeniably safe. But the revelation lingered in the air, heavy and raw. Betrayal had nearly cost us everything, yet facing it head-on had saved not just a life, but the foundation of trust between us. I realized that survival isn't just about escaping danger. It's about uncovering it, confronting it, and standing unwavering in the face of fear. And as I sat there, holding his hand once more, I knew something profound. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers quietly in the moments of darkness, refusing to leave, even when fear screams for retreat. That whisper had carried us through the night, and it would guide us through whatever came next.
The early morning light filtered softly through the hospital curtains, painting the room in pale gold. My son lay asleep, fragile yet steady, the rise and fall of his chest a rhythm that filled the space with quiet relief. After the storm of the night before, there was a calm, a fragile, sacred peace. For the first time, I could breathe, but I knew this peace was only the beginning of understanding what we had endured. I sat beside him, tracing a hand over his hair. The events of the past hours replayed vividly, the messages, the fear, the secret that had nearly destroyed him. But with that danger unveiled came clarity. Courage and love are inseparable, and truth
is the strongest shield we can wield. I whispered softly, "You survived this, my love, and now we face the truth together. No more secrets, no more fear." He stirred slightly, eyes fluttering open. There was a softness in his gaze, mingled with a trace of lingering guilt. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lie or put you through this." I squeezed his hand gently. "Sweetheart, survival sometimes requires concealment. What matters is that we learn from it, that we recognize who protects us and who endangers us, and never let it happen again." I stood and walked slowly to the window, looking out at the city that was already waking up. Life outside continued as if nothing had happened, but inside these walls, a transformation had occurred. The danger had revealed itself, and with it, the depth of my love and vigilance. I realized something essential. Protecting those we love isn't passive. It demands observation, intuition, and sometimes confrontation with uncomfortable truths. True courage isn't just about facing danger. It's about understanding it, naming it, and acting before it's too late. I turned back to my son. "Listen, you need to understand something. The people who seem closest are not always trustworthy, and those who appear distant or silent may hold the strongest protection. Life will test your trust, but it's how you respond that defines your path." He nodded slowly, taking in my words. "I understand, Mom. I'll never hide again." I took a deep breath and reflected on the entire ordeal: the hospital's warning, the hidden threats, the moments of terror, and the relief of truth revealed. This experience had been painful, yes, but it had also been a lesson in resilience, boundaries, and the quiet power of action guided by love. I realized that pain is never wasted when it teaches vigilance, courage, and compassion. I looked at him again, this time with a sense of empowerment for both of us. "You've been through something few understand, but now you know that life isn't just about survival, it's about recognition. Recognizing danger, recognizing love, and recognizing the strength within yourself to face both." The nurse returned, quietly checking the monitors. She glanced at me and smiled knowingly, the unspoken acknowledgement of what had transpired hanging in the air. Some truths, I realized, are understood without words. I pulled up a chair and sat once more beside him, holding his hand with gentle firmness. I said softly, "Remember this day, not because of the fear or the secrets or the betrayal. Remember it for the courage you discovered, the protection we shared, and the lesson that no challenge is faced alone when love guides your steps." I realized that the night of betrayal had shifted something deep within us, a permanent understanding that love and vigilance are inseparable. I smiled at him, a quiet, warm smile. "And know this, even when the world hides danger, and even when those we trust falter, we can always rise. We protect each other, we stand together, and we never let fear define us." The day stretched forward, the hospital slowly coming alive with the rhythm of life and recovery. Visitors arrived offering congratulations for his survival, but none could see the depth of the battles fought behind the closed doors. None could fully understand the quiet storm that had raged and then contained, tamed only by vigilance, courage, and a mother's unwavering love. I understood that the most important battles are often invisible to the world, fought not in shouts, but in careful, deliberate acts of love and protection. I held his hand and realized that this ordeal had gifted us something profound, an unshakable bond forged through fear, honesty, and survival. The betrayal, the panic, the hidden dangers, they were now part of our story, lessons etched in memory, guiding our steps forward. I finally leaned back, letting the tension of the past hours settle. The hospital room was quiet, peaceful. My son slept again, and I sat there knowing that though the world can surprise us with danger and betrayal, the foundation we build with love and courage is unbreakable. I understood something essential. Life doesn't promise safety, but it does reward vigilance, love, and unwavering courage. And that, I realized, is more powerful than any fear we might face. I faced the camera as if speaking to everyone who has ever felt powerless in the face of danger. Sometimes, the hardest moments reveal the deepest truths. Danger can be hidden, and betrayal can lurk in places we never expect. But love, courage, and vigilance will always find a way to protect. Stand firm, speak the truth, protect those you love, and never let fear define the story of your life. And in that quiet, soft hospital room, I knew the battles we fight for those we love, no matter how invisible, are never wasted. They are the measure of our strength, our courage, and the depth of our hearts.
The morning sun had risen higher now, its warm glow spilling softly into the hospital room. My son breathed steadily, peacefully, a kind of calm I had prayed for through an entire night of fear, revelations, and unbearable truth. But today felt different. There was movement in the hallway, footsteps, soft voices, the gentle rhythm of a hospital waking up. And then, a quiet knock at the door. The doctor stepped inside with a reassuring smile, one that finally held no shadow of worry. "He's stable," she said, her voice warm, confident. "We've reviewed his medication, removed all risky supplements from his chart, and spoken with the staff. We're discharging him today." I felt my breath catch, not in fear this time, but in relief so profound it made my knees tremble. My son opened his eyes at the sound of her voice, blinking against the morning light. "I can go home?" he whispered, voice still raspy. The doctor nodded. "You're safe now. Just follow the updated plan, rest, and avoid anything that wasn't prescribed. And stay close to the people who protect you." Her eyes met mine with a knowing look, an unspoken acknowledgement of the battles fought behind closed doors. My son's hand found mine, fingers curling around my palm with gentle pressure. I squeezed back, the weight of everything we had survived resting between us. The nurse came in quietly, removing the last IV wine, cleaning the small bandage mark, and handing me a folder filled with instructions. As she worked, she spoke softly. "You did everything right. Some mothers would have collapsed under the weight of what you faced last night, but you stood firm." I didn't know how to respond, but I felt the truth of her words settle into me like a calming tide. My son sat up slowly, swinging his legs over the side of the bed. He winced, not in pain, but in humility, in recognition of how close he had come to losing everything. "Mom," he murmured, "thank you for not giving up on me, even when I kept things from you." I brushed a hand over his hair. "My love, a mother doesn't stop fighting just because the world grows dark. The darker it gets, the brighter she becomes." His eyes softened, a deep, vulnerable gratitude shining in them. We gathered his things, his phone, his charger, the folded jacket I'd placed on his bed last night when I thought I might lose him. Every item felt heavier with meaning, like remnants of a storm we had survived. As we stepped into the hallway,
I walked beside him, my hand lightly supporting his back. Each step was symbolic, a step away from fear and toward healing. Nurses smiled as we passed. Some nodded with quiet respect, the kind that grows not from pity, but from witnessing courage. The automatic doors at the end of the corridor slid open slowly, letting in a flood of warm sunlight. For a moment, my son stopped, taking a shaky breath. "That light," he whispered, "feels different today." "It should," I said softly. "It's shining on someone who survived." He swallowed hard, emotion tightening his voice. "Because of you." "Because of us," I corrected gently. "Because we face the truth together." The world outside was alive. Cars moving, birds calling, people laughing as if the night before had been just another ordinary evening. But for us, everything had changed. My son inhaled deeply, the crisp air filling his lungs like a promise of new beginnings. "Mom, I'm scared," he admitted quietly, eyes fixed on the sky. "Of what?" I asked softly. "Of making another mistake? Of trusting the wrong people? Of putting you through this again?" I stepped in front of him and held his face in my hands. "Listen to me," I whispered, my voice steady, warm. "Sure. Fear doesn't mean you're weak. It means you survived something powerful. And trust is a lesson, not a failure. You learned who deserves a place in your life and who doesn't." His eyes glistened. "And as for me, you can't break a mother who is willing to fight the world for her child." He leaned into my hands, comforted, grounded. As we walked toward the parking lot, I understood something profound. Life doesn't protect us from pain. It teaches us through it. It strengthens us because of it. Danger hides in unexpected shadows. Betrayal sometimes wears a familiar face. And fear can feel like a cage. But love, steadfast, honest, vigilant love, will always be the key. I glanced at my son, watching him take slow, steady steps toward the car, toward healing, toward truth. This wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a wiser life, a braver life, a life where secrets would no longer pile in silence, where danger would be confronted at its first whisper, and where love would always stand guard. Thank you for spending your time with me. If this story touched something in you, share your thoughts in the comments. Your truth deserves to be echoed. This is She Echoed, where every story finds its voice. Life will test you, fear will challenge you, and betrayal may arrive in ways you never imagined. But love, unwavering, protective, courageous love, will always guide you home. Never underestimate the quiet strength you carry. If this story touched something in you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your truth deserves to be echoed.